Let's go.
Let's do it.
Here we are. Episode, what did I say this was? 19? No, I don't know. Chris, I don't think you know. No one knows.
No, I don't use numbers there. Numbers are fake.
Episode. I think it's episode 19 of CornStars, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. The best of the best lead times, best quality. You can buy cages from other places and wait until your child's 10th birthday to receive it, or assuming your child isn't 10 already, and whatever, you know what I mean. If you go to BlackBox and you get a cage or a rack, lead times currently, I believe, are like 2 to 3 weeks, if that. They may even be faster. I know it's things have slowed down a tad, so lead times are even better right now.
Yeah, it's really good.
But then if you get a cage or a rack and you go to checkout and you put in discount code THN, save yourself 10% off your order. It's not a ton, but it's better than nothing. Shipping is expensive, and so any bit you can take off shipping alone makes a difference. So please check them out. Love my stuff from them. Eventually, my entire room will be fully converted over to BlackBox stuff, slowly but surely. I can only play Tetris in my room so many times in a year before I'm just over it. So
you only get so much space.
That's right.
So much space.
And I keep trying to go taller, and it just ain't working. If I have to stand on a step stool, I'm 6'4". If I have to get on a step stool to get up to a cage or a rack or something, I don't like it. I'm weird. Like, stuff that's super high up and stuff that's super high low is always the stuff that doesn't get maintenance as frequently as the stuff in the middle. As much as I hate to admit it, it's the truth. So regardless, working on getting everything streamlined and sort of coherent and cohesive and all that stuff, and it's working out. I love my XR16 racks. Got 2 of them now stacked on top of one another. They're beautiful. Every tub from top to bottom is smooth as butter, which I feel like is a rare find with a lot of racks these days. So I love it. V35s are what I got them all loaded in, but you can do the V8s. Is it V8s? V15s, the V35s, all 3 tubs are sort of interchangeable in that rack, so you can use any combination of those per shelf, which I think is nice. You can upgrade your animals as you go without having to buy an entire new rack when stuff outgrows it.
Yeah, that V35S size I've talked about a lot for small males and 2-year-old snakes. You know what I mean? Like grow-outs. You're probably not going to keep a decent-sized snake in there, but that height, it's efficient. Like you said, you can swap it for the V15, the V8.
It's a decent amount of floor space, like in terms of area to move and stuff. It's good. There's more than enough room to add multiple hides, which a lot of my stuff has. I'll put in some like paper towel tubes on top of some boxes, and then some other stuff. Not on top physically, but in addition to. Yeah. So use the code THN to check out.
I got my breeder Leonis in V35S with a hide box in the front, hide box in the back, water bowl. Plenty of room.
Those Leonis make me want to cry, man. They're so damn nice.
They are.
God. Don't even get rid of any of them.
I
don't care how many feet pictures I got to send you. Don't get rid of any of them.
We got another sponsor we love talking about.
We sure do. I appreciate
Silent
you
Hill
keeping me on
Reptiles.
track. Silent Hill Reptiles. I don't think he's updated his for sale page yet, which is surprising because he's got a ton of stuff he's going to have to sell soon.
The absolute best season when not breeding that anybody has ever had.
I think we all wish we could be that lucky.
Yeah.
When we're like, man, I really want a good season, but then you have that year where you're like, I'm not going to take it easy, and then it ends up being that year.
Yeah.
He didn't even try.
Yeah, he's produced some immaculate stuff, some big, healthy, beautiful babies. I think he even got some double clutches, which doesn't even make sense in my little tiny brain. So that's super exciting. Everybody needs to follow him. Everybody needs to keep an eye on his whenever he puts up a for sale page. He's going to have some killer stuff like always.
A lot, yeah. And I'm at that point where like between him and you and everyone else in like our the CornStars group and stuff, like I just try to put on the blinders because it's like I don't need.
It's tough, dude. It's tough. Everybody's posting stuff, and everybody's starting to get those babies, and oh man, here's a whole clutch of this, and it's.
I'm here trying to figure out how to downsize.
You downsize by adding more snakes.
That's right. Pretty much.
It's the only way to do it.
Like I tell myself I'm going to downsize, and then I somehow end up with 10 more animals from Chris that just show up. So
I mean, things happen.
Little bit your fault, little bit mine. We'll call it a draw.
Justin, how's that season going?
It's good. It's good. Real quick, going back a little bit because Chris is rushing me. SilentHillReptiles.com, Silent Hill Reptiles on Facebook and Instagram. Fulvius Apparel, check it out. Facebook, Instagram, FulviusApparel.com. Also, use the code THN at checkout just for network listeners. For people that listen or watch this and they hear the code THN, get 15% off your order. Just drop that Splendida shirt.
That's an awesome shirt.
So it's available
awesome.
now. I'm gonna send you one with Lily's stuff.
Okay, awesome.
And
That's
who
exciting.
knows? There might be other stuff that makes its way into that box. I don't know these things. I don't
You
make
never
these
know.
decisions. It's not up to me. So check out all three of those things. And yes, season wise, I currently have the Ladies Island to Castagna Motley clutch hatching, like literally as we speak. I have one baby out so far. I'm gonna look at my camera and see if any more have popped out. A little motion detector thing just went off in the corner of the room. That's creepy. There's one literally like exploring, trying to decide if it wants to pop out right now. Like it's contemplating it. So one is out there. Excited for that clutch. Not expecting anything crazy, but I wasn't expecting anything from that Ghost Tessera Pied Blood Red clutch, and Dad must have been het hypo because I'm fairly certain everything in that clutch is hypo that came out. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Again, not expecting anything too crazy, but
There's gonna be some cool animals in there though. What's popped out already looks pretty good.
the Castagna chaos carries on.
Love Castagni.
So nice.
Mhm.
It's so nice.
One of my favorites.
It's Justin, one more person to add to your Castana list. That's easily Justin's favorite more if he's always
starting a cult. That's right.
Yeah, the
It's
Castana
beautiful.
cult. I sent my Mandarin to him, and I'm so jealous.
Dude,
oh my
that
gosh,
snake.
that
Like that's
snake
Jake's
is-
favorite snake. Jake comes over, he's
Dude.
like, "Can I see the Mandarin?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude."
You posted that video the other day, and I was like, "There's no
She's
way
in
that I."
shed. She was in
It's a
shed.
Oh,
It wasn't
and she's
even
got
like fresh.
the cool Aztec zigzag on her back is just insane. That snake is. Oh, I'm so mad. It's okay. We're gonna make more of them.
I have so many like all the stuff from Eric is het AML. So in the next couple of years, I'll send you as many damn mandarins as you want.
God, they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
It's just not. I know. So I feel bad because I feel like that's all I talk about on this show is Castagna. But at the same time, I feel like it's such an underappreciated morph in the grand scheme of corns.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't know if it's because it's just not super flashy, because it's not incomplete dominant and you don't get the results right away. If it's, it just doesn't do much for people. I don't
just
know.
think
There's something
not
about
a lot in people's
simplicity
hands.
and that
Yeah.
softness. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like there hasn't. It kind of got like it showed up and people did stuff with it, and then it was like the crowd moved on to the next table, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like there's still a lot to be done there. So
It kind of
I love
happened in a space when ball pythons were so popular that people weren't really worrying about. That was kind of when the ball python craze was happening. I think is when Castagni started hitting the market, and I think it just didn't catch on then, and now it's kind of gaining popularity.
Well, not even that too. I think it's also a thing where like people got it, liked it, and then other stuff showed up, and then people moved on to those other things and just forgot to come back to it.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
It just became like an afterthought in a way where it was like, oh yeah, I like that morph a lot. I never did anything with it. I should probably do that. And then it's like you get distracted by something else and just never come back to it.
Yeah. So, or people that then shows a lot, it doesn't sell well, right? Like a lot of the Castagni babies are kind of mundane looking. They don't show nearly their potential. Kind of like caramel.
Yeah, I mean the babies when Eric had pictures of them, like if those things weren't labeled, you probably would have thought they were anneries. I mean, they were just black and gray. Like there really weren't anything. And then like I got them and those first sheds happened. I was like, what the hell? Like
every shed they get
complete
better.
180. Like all of a sudden, like the peach is coming in. You know, it just. I love that morph. I can't get enough of it. I like the, I like how it softens up patterns and colors a little bit, and absolutely has that fade, that intensity gradient from the head down to the rest of the body. And
it's good.
Excited to see what I do with it down the road, which is going to be a lot considering that Castagna is
in everything you have.
I mean, it's like as far as the number of corns I have that are Castagna, it's probably at least a solid third of everything is Castagna.
Nice.
So we'll see. I really, my plan for sort of number one goal for Daytona is to grab a coral ghost because I really want to plug that into Castagna at some point.
What about Tessera Castagna?
Yeah. I want to do that eventually. Mostly just Tessera. Coming to appreciate Tessera in more moderation than I used to. Like I really do love Tessera, but it's one of those things where it's like I want Tessera, but I don't want it in Castagna stuff right now. But
I got a JMG Coral Ghost girl. I gave the year off. She's het Sunkiss, het Stripe. I'll bring her to you at Daytona, and you can plug her into that Castagna Motley male. That'd be cool because the Motley and Stripe will hit.
There's that Motley male that I used this year, and then there's that other older male that Kasicki sent me. That isn't, he's just normal as far as pattern goes. There's no Tessera or Motley or anything going on. And I don't think Mike didn't know either. He doesn't have any hets, which at this point, anyone who says stuff doesn't have hets.
It's het entry, it's het AML.
It's got hets in it somewhere. Like there's no way it doesn't unless it's the wild caught stuff. Which is why I was like, this clutch from the Castagna Motley, Ladies On, like there shouldn't be any surprises because Mom is a completely blank slate in terms of morphs and things like that. So unless we have like a baby Jesus sort of scenario where something just really off the wall pops out, but again, not expecting
Floor snakes, it's possible. It's a wild caught corn.
There is that male, and I had thought about breeding him this year to that Ladies On female just to keep the pattern, like any pattern mutation sort of out of the picture for now. But given the issue I had with the pieds, after getting them in, pairing, I haven't, at the time I hadn't had that male terribly long, and I was worried about the similar thing happening that I had with the pieds. So I just said, I'll use him next year and, we'll move on. So
cool.
But other than that, Bairds are going to be hatching here soon.
I need those.
Yeah, man. Great. Yeah, that first, it's a het hypo clutch. Those will be hatching within the next, I think, inside of 2 weeks. And then rhinos, and then rhinos, and then more corns because I got a second clutch from the Ghost Tessera female.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then 4 Baird's eggs, and then maybe the Jansen I will see. But yeah, it's wasn't really, I guess, for considering that I was like, this year I'm going to take it easy. I pulled a JT, or I was like, I'm going to take it easy. And produce a ton of stuff. I somehow ended up with a pretty good amount of eggs. So
I
spread.
I thought it was not going to be too crazy for me, and now my Everglades rat just laid clutch 25 or 26 for the year. My conjuncted double clutch, the one that ate her eggs, decided that eating her eggs was a good way to lay 7 more good eggs. So that was really cool. I got 3 the first clutch. They hatched. I got a ton of stuff hatching. All my corns have hatched. I got some, the salmon snows and the salmon snow tesseras came out. Those are insane. Some of the Okatee stuff that I was trying to do with, I had that extreme reverse Okatee that I paired to a Tessera Motley Ultramel. Proved out some really nice Ultramels. Like I got some killer Ultramels with Okatee influence. I hatched from some of the stuff from JT, my caramel with all the hets to Sunkiss with all the hets. I hatched a caramel sun-kissed, cinder, diffused mask, and it's a pretty wild snake. So it's like a shatter, caramel shatter diffused.
Yeah,
mask.
that thing's nice.
It's cool. It ate the first time I tried to feed it, which is great. I'm gonna send it to Alex because I don't want it. I'm keeping the honeys out of that clutch. The honeys are so badass looking. I was like, this is exactly the snake I wanted to produce. I'm gonna send this one to Alex. I accidentally produced black pines. That was super cool. I got a 1.1 of black pines after not breeding them this year. I got a bunch of bad eggs. I incubated the bad eggs, and I got 2 beautiful babies full of piss and vinegar.
From the mold, their hatred grew.
Oh, dude, those are just the absolute most fussiest snakes on the planet. It's so cute. Leonis are hatching. Gray bands are due to hatch any day. 3 clutches a great alternative this year. Sorry, my daughter's running in the house. I got to tell her hi. And what else? Pitiophis vertebralis due to hatch any day. They're on day 63. All 5 eggs just look amazing. What else, man? All the Emery are about to start hatching. So I've my meal morum and Emery. I've got 3 or 4 clutches. Stop it, Justin. I've got aberrant wildcaught McMullen thorn scrubs that are due to hatch any day. I've got Nueces County reverse stripe thorn scrubs due to hatch. I've got a wildcaught gravid female Elephant Mountain Emery eggs due to hatch any day. I don't know. I look in the incubator and I'm like, where the hell are all these eggs still here for? I also, my charcoal pewter stuff turned out to produce the darkest, blackest pewters I've ever seen in my life. So I've got 4 or 5 that I'm sitting on and probably going to sell some. And yeah, so it's been a busy. The motley stuff, the bullet hole motley stuff that I was doing proved out to look just delicious. I actually posted some of that on Morph Market recently, trying to see if I can move a couple of them.
How's that? How's Morph Market been for you?
I posted my first stuff on Morph Market 3 weeks ago. So I posted some Tessera Ultramel Motley stuff, some Motley AML stuff, some Motley Ultramel stuff, with nice heads. And I have yet to sell a snake on Morph Market. But I know that now is the toughest time to sell corn snakes on Morph Market, where everybody's starting to post their hatchlings. And I'm not really super worried about it because a lot of this stuff I want to kind of grow it out a little bit to see what it looks like. I think it ended up being like 80 something just corn snakes. Probably going to be just over 200 babies total. Mm-hmm. Very overwhelming season, but every time I start feeling overwhelmed when I start working with the babies, I'm like, holy crap! Look at all this. Look, I've got this, and I did this, and I hit this thing, and I hatched this thing that I wanted to, and I took the vertebralis. If they hatch, God willing, I'm going to see those things come out. And, this is a 5-6 year journey that I've been trying to produce these things, and each nose that pops out is another success story for me. So I'm just, each baby that eats, I've only got 4 snakes not eating right now, which is just like killer for me. I've always got 10, 15 corns that just don't want to eat. Everything's eaten. So it's, and my kid's like right at that perfect age where she's like actually helping with baby snakes and the leopard geckos and, the baby gargs, and she comes in and she cleans tubs and we swap and she's firing on all cylinders. So it's been good. It's a lot. I've kind of not been keeping up with messages. A couple people have messaged me and asked me stuff, and I'm kind of just like, I'll get to you later. I got, but I think that's enough about us. Tonight we are so excited. We have our guest Joe Peck. Since we started the show, we had a handful of people that we were interested in having on, and names that crossed the table. And Joe, I know we've reached out to you early on.
Yeah.
And goodness, we are just so excited to finally have you on. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Joe.
I'm just I was born in September 27th. I'm just a reptile guy. Throw me, I'm a lifer. I was born with the reptile gene.
Yeah.
I grew up just out of Chicago in DuPage County, where there's a lot of really nice habitat for reptiles, and I've been chasing them for my whole life.
Nice.
That's where it all started for me, was in the field. The connection to nature. love, I'm a nature science, geek, that kind of, Peabody type, thick glasses. My favorite toy as a kid was a microscope. I was that kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's because there's no end to all the cool stuff you can look at under a microscope.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes I think, it's amazing that I'm still at it. Still never lost the passion for it, or going to be 50 soon, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
Good.
And so
I mean, I think like in general, we're all of us, anybody that's in this hobby and has been for the majority of their life, like that alone is something a lot of people don't experience or have. Like
I
my
agree.
wife doesn't have any like hardcore hobbies or passions like that, and so when I'm like obsessing over something that's herp related, or it's hard for me to sort of fully explain to her because she's never had that. It's just
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people that have that thing that they've like locked onto since they were a kid and just remain locked onto,
stuck with it.
Yeah, like it's increasingly rare, I think, especially as time goes on.
In my early 20s, I crossed paths with a guy named Brian Capiz, and he was a bit of a pioneer of the arachnid hobby. And I was in my early 20s. He was in his early 30s, and he was the first person that I came across with the same interest. When I met him, I thought I'd met my lost long brother or somebody, because he was just inspired me in a way to he was like a walking encyclopedia. He just seemed to know everything, and that just kind of set the bar for me right then and there, and I've been chasing that ever since, the pursuit of knowledge. And field guides were my reptile books. I studied the range maps, looked for the close, the stuff that was closest to me.
Start checking off those boxes if you can find them.
Range,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all I wanted to do, was explore nature and find that stuff.
And I did notice you had some tarantulas at one. I don't know if you still do.
I started with breeding, was with arachnids, the tarantulas. That's where I started with the breeding.
Where were you keeping mostly with those? Old World or New World?
Everything. I had everything. With my connection with Bryant, I had everything at the excess at my tips. So anything that I didn't have, I bought.
What was your favorite species or genus that you kept with tarantulas?
Gosh, probably a lot of the New World stuff.
Really?
The Asian stuff is a little bit more aggressive. So a lot of the New World stuff is a little bit more not as aggressive,
manageable, yeah,
more manageable. But the collection grew so fast, and
dude, with inverts, that is like, you think it's bad with snakes and stuff. Like you get into inverts, and all of a sudden you go from 1 to like 50. No time.
Yeah, and and you got things from Africa and South America and Asia, and it just, it's just,
I kept a ton of ornamentals. That was like, ornamentals were my jam.
Yeah, I got a Minatrix here.
Well, hey, I have a spider tattoo also.
There we go. I'm in the right place. So that's where it all kind of started for me. Even though I've been a long time or lifetime reptile guy, Bryant really, well, let me back up. how I met Bryant was my sister was given a rose hair by her friend, so she brought
Nice.
it. So she brings it home, and the aquarium that it said, it needed to be upgraded. And I had a friend who had an interest in spiders, and he saw Bryant on the news, and he's like, I know a perfect place for us to go, and so we went. And when I walked into that door, back in the 80s when I was younger, I wanted to be in the reptile industry, even way back then. I wanted to do like a pet store or whatever,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to work with reptiles. So when I came across this store, Arachnocentric, I'm like, this is what I've been dreaming about my whole life, And he had, first time I saw mandarin rat snakes and mossy leaf, the Europlatus and
Oh yeah, yeah. Some great.
mantellas and all that. He had all that Madagascan stuff, all the giant centipedes, foot long centipedes, and that was like heaven to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just had to get to know this guy, So I'm a hairstylist by trade. And when you can cut hair, it's a really good way to barter,
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I can cut, I'm a barber, I can cut hair. And he's like, no kidding. I guess he had a really bad haircut. So I like kind of just, was in the right spot at the right time, said the right thing. And he took me up on it. And I started, I became his barber and, became good friends. And, if I wasn't with my girlfriend, I was with Bryant. And, it was such a privilege to have someone like that,
Absolutely, having somebody that stands out kind of mentors you through some of it, and
Yeah.
gets and kind of shares that excitement about it. Really pushes you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Have you done a lot of mullets since it's come back?
Mullets. I'm retired. I lost my eye. I got only one eye. I got carpal tunnel really bad.
Damn.
Goodness.
Yeah. So, but the eye thing really kind of took me, kind of put that to an end.
It's difficult. Yeah.
And that was probably around 2009, early 2010 when that happened.
Yeah.
And just been a full-time hobbyist ever since.
Nice. So being at Inverts and kind of working through this, going to the store and meeting your buddy, something led you to corns. Corn Craft is your trade name. What took you to corn snakes?
Oh, well, I went through the arachnid phase. Okay, I got into I had a friend when I was doing the spiders. He was a Drymarchon guy, snake breeder, and he had Crebos and Indigos. We kind of became partners, and everything was housed in my place. And if you're breeding spiders and arachnids, males only live a year. It's very sporadic. When I saw how scheduled snake breeding was, I really was fond of that, and, so that's when I switched from arachnids to snakes. But I started, when I did that, I went to garter snakes. I started with the garter snakes, and this was probably 2005,
Nice.
that I picked up on the garter snakes. And so I did that for a little while. I did garter snakes up until 2012, I believe. What? Yeah, 2012. Okay. And then, I was kind of had my fun with that. And so then I was looking for something new. And what led me to corn snakes was a bunch of things. Up until that point, I had worked with mostly a lot of uncommon, rare, uncommon, difficult stuff.
Yeah.
And every so often you got to really step out of your box, to learn something new, and have new experiences. So corns, I chose corns because their size, they're practical, they're hardy, and they're easy, and they're common, and Thamnophis they have live birth. Sure. I wanted to hatch eggs. My snake breeder friends were hatching eggs. I thought I was cheating with this, just one day, they just, you get a bunch of eggs. Yeah. So I wanted to experience, bring on egg hatching, so that was kind of those were the criteria, practical, size, hardy, easy, common, and egg laying, and that's kind of what, and plus they have a big nostalgia value to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's like everyone I knew had them, and I remember back in the 80s, wild caught red rat snakes all the time. Growing up in Illinois, when you're watching like a nature channel on Florida, you're always going to see a corn snake. So there's a lot of nostalgia there with that. Big time.
I think there's that. You hit a lot of good points about corns, but also at the same time, it's like, damn, has anybody ever put one of these things in their hands, like a 3 or 4 foot corn snake, like an adult?
Yeah.
And it's like, these things are badass.
Yeah. And like their placidity. My son was born in 2005. All my cousins have young kids. So I'm kind of slightly attracted to like docile stuff. I don't want people coming to my home and being afraid of anything that's in the house. So I think that's why I'm really attracted to things like leopard geckos, corn snakes, garter snakes, and stuff like that.
That's cool.
What garters were you keeping a lot of at that point? Were the Lake Chapalas?
I was
at that point.
I was the second person to bring those in.
Really?
Scott Felser was the first. I was the second, basically just for diverse, but for genetic diversity. I went straight to the horses. I went straight to the guy where that that went out and caught them. So I went straight to Stephen Bull, who's in Holland, and got them from him. Because Stephen Bull, like he collects everything that he's got, and he collects such great records. Everything comes with the birth certificate and lineage. You can trace it like to the, you have everything you need to know in that birth certificate.
Yeah.
And so what you've got. Yeah. So with the, so I just I just brought in unrelated animals, to diversify what was in the country, the genetic wise.
Those Lake Chapalas
are so cool.
I love them.
Cool.
And they're when they're born, they're almost they could almost take a pinky, I don't know if you have if you've ever had any experience with baby garter snakes, but they're small,
They're little.
Yeah.
They're
But
little.
But those EQs, the Mexican species, the babies are nice and chunky, fat little dudes, and they got a little bit of size to them already, and they could easily take a half a pink, which is makes it real easy to get them going.
Do you still work with those?
No, I don't. When I completely, back in 2012, I completely got out, I completely made a switch, and the whole time I've been into corns, I never lost my interest in garters, but, I was so focused on corns. I really, now that I'm, feeling complete with my collection, I have like the mental space to take on new things,
Awesome.
So I went back to the, to the garter snakes, and because they're a lot of work, those things, and take a lot of time. So I'm just now, getting back into the Thamnophis stuff,
Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures you posted. You've had a few litters this year, I would assume.
Yeah, I had some Infernalis, and I got some Paludulus, the maritime garter snake.
Yeah.
That's not really in captivity, the maritime garter snake. I had an opportunity to get some, and I knew they had some cool potential, and I'm so happy with them. I love them.
Garters are something that I've kind of skirted around through my maybe 15 years of keeping, just because I'm a completionist, and if I have one thing of something, I have to have all the things of something.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And it's real bad. Corns and leopard geckos and some of the Rhacodactylus that I've kept and bred. You kind of can't have everything, right? Like I can't have every corn snake morph. I don't want every corn snake morph. There's
me neither. Right. I'm very specialized. Yeah.
Yeah. But garters, it's like, well, there's like 10 really cool ones, and if you get one and you kind of like it, you kind of need the other 9.
I've had over 20 species.
Wow.
Thamnophis, and I loved every single one of them.
We have checkered garters here, everywhere here in South Texas.
Don't tell me that.
I find them in my backyard every year. I find
don't tell me that.
In my backyard.
Yeah.
And here specifically, they are beautiful. They're just this perfect olive green.
And they got the contract with the eyes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That sharp red tongue.
Yeah.
That beautiful, beautiful yellow stripe, orange stripe. And every time I find one, it's the second most common reptile we find here, other than
one of my favorites.
Atrox. Yeah.
Is Marcianus. Yeah.
Gosh, every time I see them, I'm like, these things are beautiful. And I've found little babies, and I keep them and feed them earthworms.
As far as Thamnophis goes, those are pretty hardy. Because they can be very delicate animals, and but Marcianus are pretty popular because of their hardiness,
They're great. The blacknecks that we find in West Texas, those are pretty special too. Those are kind of neat, really skittish, very very thin, light.
The Easterns or Westerns do you find?
I can't. I couldn't tell you the answer.
Yeah.
Probably the Easterns. Yeah, it's the got to be the Eastern blackneck because that's the beginning of their range. Because we still find Marcianus over there.
Okay.
Anyways, we're going to start talking about garter snakes, and I'll keep going on garter snakes. Right. So let's just talk about corns. You have a very specialized corn collection, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on. Could you tell us kind of an idea, a global look at what your corn collection looks like?
What my corn snake? It's I'm really focused on the pure lines, the locality morphs, and I've gotten my, been able to get my hands on quite a few. And that's where my focus is. As far as the pure line or the locality morphs. Got 3 different lines of sun-kissed, 2 different lines of Anery. I have a Motley that's from Dixie County, and I have all the every available Jasper County morph.
So the red zaps, the sun-kissed, the Phoenix, which I believe is the combination of the two.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have a male sun-kissed male and a sun-kissed male.
So when looking at corns, what pushed you in that direction?
What pushed me there?
Comparison? Yeah,
the hobby did. It really did. In the beginning, I was quite overwhelmed with corn snakes because the history, they've been in captivity for so long.
Yeah.
There was so much to catch up on. I felt I was so behind. Like I kind of was under depression that I was so far behind on morph combinations and doing stuff like that. So I was quite overwhelmed. So I just took my time, absorbed as much as I could, you know, and from 2012 to about 2019, it took about 5 years to really till I really felt like I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, where I really felt like I had a grasp on things, you know, because genetically it seems like there's so much going on, so much more that meets the eye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's how it was for me coming back to it. Like the landscape had changed so much from when I was a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
like getting back into corns heavily within the last 2 or 3 years. You know, it was like coming back to it after really not paying any attention to what was going on morph wise. Like, like, oh my God, like what happened? Like before, I felt like what we had in 2004 was like, this is perfect. Like there's a lot of stuff, but there's not too much. And then I show up and I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, where did all this stuff come from?
Yeah.
You know, and so it is overwhelming to sort of have to play catch up and like get back on top of things and know like what's going on. And like, I'm still struggling with that a lot, you know?
Yeah. My frustration started, you know, you always end up with something you don't want, like Jeanette. Like I'm like when I start a project, it's always from scratch. And but everything that I started, there was always something that came with it that I didn't want.
Yeah.
And even like, because all my first pairings are outcrossing, so I want to push back what I don't want, and then, you know, bring forth what I do want, you know. But that never, you know, it would still pop up stuff that I didn't want. And, you know, a lot of people are, you know, that's kind of like the charm to corns for a lot of people, but not, you know, for me, it was very frustrating because you know, I'm very specific on what I want or what I'm trying to work on, or, you know, like that. So the locality morphs, you know, they don't come with all that package. They're much cleaner, you know, and that's kind of what kind of pushed me there initially. You just have more, you know, and that's just it. They're just cleaner lines, you know. They don't come with things that I don't want,
right?
And I could add anything that I want, you know.
Well,
it's
when
a ground zero, you know.
Right. When you say locality morphs and you stay starting from scratch, are you like example? Are you talking about like the stuff I'm doing with the island stuff of like, okay, I'm going to pair a ghost tessera to a wild caught male from a locality that I know. Like,
well, what I mean is if they just don't. If I take like I'm just going to use, you know, you only have the morphs that you put in, you know. You know, when I'm getting, you know, when I bred the A male Sunkiss to the Hendry County, those babies only have those 3 hats, you know, those 3 genes, you know, and that's what I want, you know.
You have Ainary Glades County stuff.
Yeah.
And you know that's the only thing that's in there, because they're either, you know, wild caughts or F1s, F2s, and people have worked on line breeding them.
Yeah, and if something new pops up, you know it's something, or something different pops up, you know it's something different, you know, too. You know,
it's very reminiscent of the Leonis people. The guys that are into variable king snakes are like so strict on lineage that like you need to know who bred your snakes. You need to know who produced the snakes they produced them from. You need to have the, you know, is this a bloaty pinner that's been bred to a vivid that has this? And that way, when you start seeing anomalies in your already variable species, which is kind of funny, which is one of the things I kind of love about it. It's like you start seeing anomalies, you've just generated that anomaly out of your, because the variable kings do this weird thing where I can have 2 identical snakes and I can breed them for 5 seasons. And for 4 seasons, I'll get the exact same thing, boom, 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 boom. And then 1 season, I'll get 2 or 3 that are just completely different.
Right. And that's another thing. You can't trace back anything, you know. It's impossible, you know. So
Well, I will say that's been the sort of the frustration with this pied blood red to the ghost tessera female, in not knowing the hets on the pied side. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea if he had any hets. I wasn't told if he had any hets. So when I hatch out babies that are completely not what I was expecting to come out, now it's like, I'm sending Chris pictures and I'm like, was he het diffused? Like, these kind of look diffused-ish. And then it's
Yeah.
like, no, I think they're hypo. And you send it to some other people and they're like, yeah, it definitely looks hypo. But it's still like, no one can really know. There's always going to be that 0.001% of not knowing, that unknown factor where it's like, I can't say for sure what's going on, and it's like, am I going to raise up babies and, test breed and produce an entire clutch just to figure out what's going on? If it's a project I'm working with, sure. But it's like, if it's stuff where I'm just trying to figure that out, that seems like a lot of work to go through just to find out that it's het hypo, or for example. But I'm right there with you. It's frustrating. I'm not complaining. They're awesome snakes. They're all gorgeous. They've all shed and they look
right.
awesome. But it's like, if I want to part with these now, I'm like, I know what I've read.
100% sure what. Yeah,
Right.
we know what the pair was.
Here's
we know
what
exactly
were.
what the
This is
babies
what
were.
came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
When I'm getting normals, as crazy as it sounds, it tells me that I've got what I've said I've got. you know, nothing crazy's popping up. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I got a male ultra male motley tessera. He's motley and stripe, so he's visual motley, but he's got motley and stripe. He's het anery. I know what he is. I've bred him for 7 years. I've bred him to a lot of stuff. I know what he produces, so I can use him as a base. Well, I got this beautiful little reverse Okatee. Was told it was a fluorescent. Kind of did a little bit more homework. It's not a fluorescent, but she is like textbook perfect reverse Okatee. Like, they don't get better. Most of the saddles are white. She's got just enough deep red. Her base color is that gorgeous orange, kind of like your hat. Like, wow, what a snake.
Yeah.
So I pair her to him because here's what I want, right? I want to get AMLs that look like that. I want to get ultramels that look like that. And I want to get tessera, AML, and ultramels that look like that. And I'm happy. I know what hets are in there, but I'm going to hold back a male or two, and I'm going to decide which male looks better. I'm going to pair him back to mom, and that way I can start getting ultramel and AML Okatee stuff that is from my collection that I know is going to look good. And I hatched out ultramel aneries. I hatched out snows. I hatched out one that has like a plain belly that almost looks masked, but it's not. The tesseras, and I only got one tessera that wasn't either a snow or an ultramel anery. And ultramel anery and snows are great, but they kind of eat the Okatee look, right? When you start compounding the AML in there and the ultramel with the anery, so it turns out she was het anery, and oh man, I got some bangers in that clutch. I got some amazing snakes in that clutch, and I shouldn't be complaining, but I got a lot of stuff in that clutch that I just wasn't planning on having.
Yeah,
and so totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm such a perfectionist, and such a specialized. I do it, in such a specialized way. I want, that stuff. I want exactly what I want, and that's it.
That's good though. That's good. You some may look at your collection and say, well, you kind of worked in reverse. You started with trenches. You went to damn no.
I'm going exactly. Yeah, right.
You're getting easier.
Yeah,
But it's
I feel that way too. It's like,
I'd almost disagree. I think you're getting harder to find, right? Like I see a lot more Thamnophis for sale. Maybe not some of the species you've had, of course, but than I do pure lineage corn snakes that are locality. And though, who cares about the complexity of the care? If you're going to do the job, you're going to do the job. You're going to do the best of your abilities.
Yeah,
you've actually it seemingly become more refined, right? And I think that's really cool. I think that's one of the reasons we kind of knew that we wanted to have you on.
I gotta say, when I started doing this, now, I had decent collection that was produced, you know, like honey motleys and sun-kissed opals and orchids. I gave all that up, you know, to start over.
Yeah.
You know, the way that I felt like the hobby, I thought the corn snake really needed it, you know. I thought it would, you know, it was an opportunity. I saw an opportunity and I was willing to, you know, get into it, put both feet into it. I thought it was going to be you know, for me, it was like making a sacrifice. I thought I was kind of committing hobby suicide. I didn't know how it was going to be perceived, but not that I, you know, really care about that. You know, you got to do it. Do what you know. You got to follow your heart. You know, and that's what I did. You know, I felt very strongly that this is the way it should be done. You know, and I got a buddy, Joe Pierce. You know, I'm not the only one doing this. Joe Pierce is the one that kind of put me on this path. And, you know, so I got a buddy to, you know, kick ideas around with and kind of just, you know, work with.
You know, you hit a nail on the head there. When you stop kind of caring about what other people are thinking, what other people are doing, what other people are saying is going to make things successful, you really start to enjoy it a lot more. And
I've been that kind of person my whole life. You know,
that's good. That's amazing.
You know, I'm a straight. You know, I was a hairstylist. You know. So everything I've done, you know, was just a little different. You know, I'm just.
That's good. Yeah.
You know,
there's an artistry to that. There's also a calculation to it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. You know, to me, it is an art and science. You know.
Absolutely.
You know, it's definitely you know, and it's a combination of both for sure.
Well, I still am all about simpler projects, and in terms of like,
yeah, and that's another thing.
Keeping the gene, like the number of genes. If my label maker has to print out 12 inches of tape on a label, like that's too much, man. Like, I like simple stuff. I like not hatching stuff and having to guess like what the hell's going on. I know he kind of likes the variety of things. I'm kind of the opposite, where it's like I want something a little more predictable.
Right.
I want something that's not going to throw me for a loop.
Yeah, predictable is a good word for sure. Yeah, I'm the same way here.
Like the massive combinations and stuff, like
and
combinations, like 2 combination stuff, cool. Like 3 combination, maybe, but like anything past that, I'm like, where now it's just getting.
Yeah, I started to realize that a lot of my favorite stuff was just more simpler. You know, along the way, I kind of realized that stacking genes doesn't always make it better, you know, or prettier. You know, there's you got to have some taste. You know, got to be tasteful about it. You know.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that kind of sent me in this direction too, because it just seemed like that's all people cared about was just stacking genes and not really caring about the outcome, but caring more about it's got this, and this in it, you know, but it looks like a snow.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, I hatched that snake this year. Caramel, cinder, diffuse, sun-kissed, mask. 5 genes.
Yeah.
And we thought that it may have had 2 copies of mask and made it a super mask. And you know, talking with JT and Jeff Bong, there's like very few of these, right? Very few of these have been produced.
Oh yeah.
I had a 0.054% chance of producing this snake in a 9 egg clutch, right? Like, holy crap! Like I was trying to produce honeys, right? Like I wanted to make honeys. I wanted these Miami honeys that I have one of, and I wanted to make more of that, and I did. And it's kind of funny. Like I posted pictures online. I had tons of people messaging me, people overseas wanting to buy this snake, and it is a gorgeous animal. It's so cool looking. It's so weird. I've literally never seen one.
Right.
I know JT's produced one. I think Jess produced one, and I'm sure Walter Smith produced one. Right? Like all of these animals come from the loins of Walter Smith.
Yeah.
It happened, right? Like but let's say there's 10. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, I don't want this snake at all, right? Like this is not what I was trying to produce. What I was trying to produce is sitting in these other tubs over here, and it's got 2 genes. We now know that they definitely have mask, and mask is one of the reasons they have the look that they have. But I'm like, I want a whole clutch of that. But that's where personality comes into the calculation, comes into the art, right? Me personally, I knew what I wanted. I got it. I want to keep that. But there are people that do kind of want to fold the cheese until it's soup. And I think you said something really good about them kind of looking like snow. Sometimes you fold the cheese and you kind of get a patternless kind of blank snake.
Yeah.
And it's like you've done so much to it that now it doesn't really look like anything.
It's like super zebra carpets.
Yeah.
I love zebra carpets, but supers do absolutely nothing for me because I'm like, how are you going to take one of the coolest looking carpet morphs?
I don't know.
And
Those
get
super
that
zebras
when you
are
put-
kind of cool.
when
Super
you
zebras
put
are kind
two
of
of
cool.
them together, I just-
Can I excuse myself for 1 second?
No
Sure.
problem at all, Joe.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
You're good. You're good.
Uh,
Yeah, I
That-
love zebras, but like when I saw a super zebra for the first time, I was like, that's really kind of disappointing. I was expecting more.
yeah.
I don't know. It sucks to me. I don't
I think they're kinda
patternless stuff
cool.
for the most part doesn't do a whole lot for me anyways, but
Really?
I don't know, man. I
I-
like contrast. I like busyness. I like,
I like a patternless snake that holds the base color, kind of. That's
Yeah.
But again, personal, just kind of personal flavor. But yeah, that snake that I have, I'm sure I'm just gonna Alex is gonna get it, and like I think it's a badass snake, and I want to see what it looks like.
oh, for
But
sure.
but I
Yeah.
think it's kind of one of those things for me. What ticks in my brain is like I hatched the thing that I wanted to hatch, and it kind of just folded the cheese so much that I'm like, man,
Mhm.
it's like a couple steps further than I wanted to go. But
Yeah.
then there's a little bit of me that also says, wow, Chris, like raise that thing up. What does that thing look like? Like make more of them. I don't know. Corns are tough. Corns are tough, man. There's so much in there. There's so many things. There's so many things that
I mean, with that hypo clutch, like the
Yeah.
testicles that came out of that are really nice, but I'll tell you what, man, those normal pattern babies,
they're badass.
like, oh my god, like I'll take those over the testers. Like if someone put a gun in my head and said you got to choose like one
Yeah.
or the other in this group, I'm gonna pick those normals, dude. They just
The thing that I'm wondering,
Hot.
the whole clutch per math can't be hypo, right?
right.
Math says the whole clutch isn't hypo, unless dad is hypo.
Even if he was het though.
If he was het, you'd only have 50%. Right? Because she's visual, he's het, you'd only have 50%.
Yeah. Again, this is where like I really come up short in corn.
Because they look very unique. And you know, there is the thought that most of the pied blood red stuff is either masked or super masked. So the question would be, does mask take that at a single level, right? And do
Mhm.
that to a snake? And I don't know if it does because those things are very hypo-esque.
Hey.
But
I'm
that's-
still, yeah. I mean, and even with the mask stuff, I'm still not 100% sure exactly how that whole thing works. I know Sarah's mentioned in a couple of videos she's done as to whether or not, I guess there's still some debate as to whether or not mask should even be considered like
Is it a line bred
thing,
trait?
or
Is
if
it
it's
a
just
genetic
something that's
trait?
there.
Yeah,
It's there.
it's there.
Is it-
It's
is it-
there.
basically, is it something that's floating around everywhere? But
Yeah.
it's not until you put it with certain things does it really sort of show up. Kind of, I don't know.
And
It's
that's
just-
a good point. Does
and there's
mask?
so much variation in how it expresses itself. You
Yeah.
can have some that JT's. I've got some snakes from JT where it's like mask question mark. Like it might
Yeah.
be there. If you look for it, you can see it. If you're not looking for it, you cannot see it. Like it
Yeah.
kind of open to interpretation. But then you have those animals where it's like the entire head pattern just blown out. There's nothing
Yeah.
there. Like it's just odd. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. That's the. I don't have a fucking clue what's going on.
It's kind of funny. I've kind of even recently, and this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, have seen posts from people that have been doing this for 30 years plus, like big time names that have posted things, and I look at it and I'm like, I know without a doubt you are wrong, right? Like I know genetically based off of things that have been proven out over the last 30 years that what you are saying to people is incorrect, which kind of makes me think that none of us have the full picture in our brains, right? Like no one person has the complete answer, right? So
Well, that kind of goes back to the whole conversation of having things mixed and folded so much over the last, 30 years.
Yeah.
That it's like
At
you get to that point
at
to where
least.
you can't even like stuff just can't even be identified at a point. That's why I'm with Joe in that aspect of keeping things simple, keeping things like predictable. Like this is what you on paper should be getting. It's not 20 genes working in combination and just a blender, of sorts.
A blender, right?
What you put together is what you should get out of it,
Yeah.
You guys on the old school herpers group on well, if when they post old price lists, you could see that they've been hybridizing corns going back way it's like
40 years, yeah. Plus.
Yeah, and it's I don't know what made people to do that, but
and I mean the unknown aspect of it too is exciting. I think that kind of comes over from the side of things for me. Like I do like that,
the curiosity of it,
right?
Sure.
I do like the excitement of not knowing what's going to come out of a clutch, but at the same time, if I'm putting stuff together where I know that's going to be the case, like fine. But if it's something like with these hypos, where I'm like, none of this is what I thought was supposed to be coming out, and now it's again like now I'm at a loss because it's like I don't know if I don't know what these things are, how is anybody else supposed to know? Like, and then you're just kind of hits a wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That pairing for me that I did this year made some amazing babies. I've got 4 or 5 snakes in there that I could show anybody and they'd go, wow. Matt Morris, who does a lot of Okatee and Ultima Okatee stuff, I sent him one of the Ultima Okatees and I was like, look at this. And he's like, that one's perfect.
I didn't know he did Ultramils.
Yeah, he does Okatee.
He just did Okatee specific stuff.
No, him and Ken Deal do some Ultramil stuff. And like we kind of looked at it and he was like, that's a badass snake. And I was like, thanks, man. And then I kind of looked at the rest of the clutch and I was like, I'm never doing this pairing again. Like it's chalked for me because there's so many other genes that now have combined together that now I got to think about the mom being het Enery, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I'm not throwing snakes away, right? I didn't decide today that I'm a wholesaler and I'm selling everything for $5 a piece, right? Every one of them's going to get a meal. Everyone's going to be kept until it's fed. I'm not selling stuff out of the egg. I'm not giving up on the hobby, but it does kind of suck because that was a planned pairing that I had looked forward to since I bought the snake. I think she's actually 4 years old. I usually go a little longer on mine just because I don't feed as much. And what do you do? And Joe, I think you have the answer.
Yeah, you do what I do.
Yeah.
That is kind of a tough sort of, ethical thing that's going to vary depending on who you ask. But like one of those things where it's like, your chances of getting a certain animal out of a pairing are like super slim, but you're going to continue to shoot for it year after year after year.
Yeah.
It's like you're still producing a ton of animals that still have to go somewhere and have to, So I'm right there with you. Like I don't know that if I do that pairing again, knowing that the chances of me getting that similar thing again,
that exact combination, is huge. Shout out to JT. The snakes that I produced from snakes that he produced, I got exactly the gamut of possible genetics. I didn't get any question marks. I did get a question mark in the fact of is it masked or super masked. Now that's a little more deleterious of a question than I think we could say off the cuff, but I got exactly what was planned. The genetics that were told to me when I purchased the animals were exactly the genetics that I played with when I did it. And, we could go on about this forever. Leopard geckos, this has become a major deal in leopard geckos. And Joe, I know you have or have had leopard gecko.
Yeah.
Leopard gecko people will produce something, try to produce a line of things because they breed a little quicker, and then they'll test breed it to everything. They'll test breed to make sure it doesn't have any of the albinos in it, test breed to make sure that it doesn't have any of the snows in it, test breed to make sure it doesn't have eclipse or marble eye. And it's like, wow, they will really go to the Earth's depths to be able to stop and say, I have a pure this. And it's, where's that in corn snakes? Well, we have them on the podcast today. So, well, Joe, why don't, so you're working with locality animals, you're working with pure morph animals that are relative to those localities. Why don't you give a couple examples of the stuff that really stands out in your collection?
Oh, well, I'm really focused on the Jasper County stuff.
Yeah.
When I initially got into corns, in my mind, my collection was going to be Okeetees and Miamis. Uh, Sunkist. A friend of mine gave me the corn snake morph guide, the Pritzl book. I
Yeah.
had that book. It was the 2009 edition, and I had it laying around the house, and that's how I became familiar with Sunkist. You know, uh, Sunkist is what really pulled me.
Sunkiss is badass.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what drew me to it initially was it still looked natural, but it was a little different. I knew nothing other than that. When I first got a Sunkist, uh, Sunkist corn. So when I got those first corn Sunkist, I didn't know nothing other than they were just Sunkist corns, and I knew that morph came from an Okitee line or Love line.
Yeah.
And that's I was like, cool. Well, someone local, Chad Fuse, had some baby Sunkist corn, so I didn't, so I grabbed one right away, and so as soon as I get it, I start, seeing, what am I going to do with this? And the first thing that popped out to me was Sunkist anneries, and the more I learned about Sunkist, the more amazed I was with the morph. It's crazy how something, that almost looks so natural. You throw it to a stripe and motley, and you get like a completely new thing. And that's amazing. That amazed me. And
Reverse Motleys.
yeah, and then when you put it to annery, you get the yellow.
Yeah.
Annery's just, man,
was-
like in terms of just
So
combination stuff, just killer.
So right off the bat, I jumped into Sunkist annery projects.
Okay.
And that was back in 2012. That's and then Sunkist annery turned into Sunkist motley, Sunkist annery motley, Sunkist annery stripe. Sunkist snow. You add Amel, and then I started adding red factor.
Yeah.
So I just focused on the Sunkist annery and just was building off of that. So that's those were my first projects, and and then I just wanted to breed everything into Sunkist, like every like we all do.
One of the combinations you said, Sunkiss Ghost, Sunkiss Annery, Sunkiss Snows. I don't think people, God, they look good in pictures, but I don't think people appreciate those animals until they see them in person.
Right.
I've got Sunkiss stuff. I've got honey stuff.
Uh-huh.
And Westmoreland sent me a Sunkiss Ghost Red Factor, and oh my God! Like I open up this box, I see this. I got a Sunkiss Hypo from them also that is just impeccable.
Yeah.
But I open it up and I look at the snake and I was just like, nah, man, that's gonna change your collection. Like that animal right there.
Yeah.
It's just that fold of cheese. If we're talking about fold of cheese,
Yeah.
the Sunkiss Annery, Sunkiss Ghost, Sunkiss Snows, and then you put in a little bit of red factor. Oh my gosh, like that's a perfect corn snake.
Is there
almost.
such a thing as a little bit of red factor though?
Well, there's one copy of red factor or two copies of red factor. So
I find that red factor can mask Sunkist a little bit.
Yes, that is true.
And I've made a lot of red factor Sunkist stuff, and I think this year is the first time I've got one that has both the yellow and the pink.
Okay.
So looking forward to see how that raises up,
grows
up, because it's going to be smoker.
Yes. Yeah. They're good.
And I'm really into the Sunkist snow stripe stuff, and and those are the only projects I have left, kind of from my, from the earlier days or whatever,
So how many pairings are you doing in a season currently? Like, what's the sort of the average?
Like anywhere between 10 to 15 or so.
Okay.
I was actually going for 20. I think let me see. Let's see here. As far as I got, looks like I got 14. I think I made it to 14 clutches. I think I still may have 3 gravid females.
Nice.
5. I've got 5 that have hatched, and about 9 that still have to, still incubating. So.
As you're making these pairings, we could look at your Facebook page and we can kind of see some of the stuff. You've got a lot of locality centric morphs now. So kind of like you said, that outside of the Sunkist projects, outside of the stuff that you were from from the past, now you've kind of moved into more Jasper County stuff, Glades County, Hendry County, single gene specific animals. It kind of looks like you're starting to fold in some of the Jasper County stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, there's Loveline, Pierce Line, and Sherman Line. Those are the 3 lines that gave us, and I got a Mills line, and I'm crossing them together is a good way to outcross them. The Sherman line needs to be outcrossed. The Love line needs to be outcrossed.
Sure.
The Pierce, and bringing those 3 lines together, I'm outcrossing them, and really it's more of a, even though they're county specific animals, that's my morph project. It's a morph project to me, with using county specific animals, because what is Jasper County known for? It's known for their rich coloration, the contrast, and you're just going to get that in the morphs, that you're going to get, breed together, with those lines. So,
Justin, are you Jasper County?
It's about a 20-minute drive.
Okay.
But that's what I'm going for with those is contrast and color. That's what I'm really after. With those, crossing those lines together, color.
I mean, it's almost outcrossing without outcrossing.
Right. Yeah. And that's connected to seeing all these plain looking, that really sent me in the direction where I want to see color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I want to see a corn snake that looks like a corn snake. I like the morphs, and I like a really, but I still want it to, be recognizable as a corn.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, these days, the less it looks like a corn, the more people like it. And
sometimes, yeah.
And I'm just the opposite. I love the morphs, but I still want it to look like a Pantherophis guttatus. That's my thing.
So are you taking different county animals and crossing them, or are you trying to keep everything county specific?
Yeah, I got I'm crossing the anery stuff. I'm doing Sunkist aneries. The Sunkist aneries I could do. I've got those on. Well, right now I've only gotten as far as breeding them into the Hendry County and the Glades County to do the Sunkist anery stuff. That are,
But that's kind of cool because, one, you're going to make really good looking snakes.
Yeah.
That are het, right? But then your visuals, once you make visuals, are going to be real special.
Yeah, I'm still just making F1s.
Yeah.
I'm not doing projects. I'm building a population. With all these simple locality morphs. Next year I'll be next year I want to do lava anery, Sunkist amel to red coat lava, you know, Sunkiss Amel to Red Coat, Motley Aneries, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, that's kind of like bread and butter stuff, you know.
It is, but it isn't, right?
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it's
And I'm glad you recognize it's kind of sad in a way, you know, that I have to kind of do that, because like I said, working with garter snakes,
yeah,
it's there's an internet. I mean, they have they're very against hybridization,
yeah,
on an international level, and it's just you never have to worry about.
Right.
You know, you knew what you had. You
yeah.
knew what you're getting, and I kind of, I respect that big time.
Justin taking Castagna Motley and pairing it into a wild caught snake, right? Like he's kind of trying to break it down. You start breaking down the genetics. You start, you're going to get hets, but what are those hets going to look like? Let's take the best examples of those hets, pair those together. Let's see what the best example of these morphs we can do is, and that's awesome.
Well, for me, I think it's more so like, okay, we've already seen what some of these morphs do when paired into the other things that are already like sort of popular, but it's like, okay, we have this now untapped sort of genetic population of stuff. Let's see what direction it goes when we tie it into those things that are already proven, and that's the exciting part for me is not knowing what's going to come in the next 6 to 8 years with some of this stuff. Is like, is it going to end up being its own thing down the line? Maybe not, but you're never going to know until you do it. So
yeah, I'm sure there are people that have that probably think I'm pretty crazy for making snow hets.
Yeah.
Something that was done, way back when, but I wanted, the snows that I remember were pearly white.
Yeah.
And I just, I've always liked snows. I love snow corns, and it's going to be different. It's like reinventing something old,
But you're going to end up having something that is unique to your own, right?
Exactly.
Like you're literally going to make something that nobody.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for. Because still I haven't reached to the point where I'm producing F2s yet.
Yep.
Hopefully next year that'll start. And and another thing that has a lot to do with this is Yellow Jacket. Something that's never talked about ever.
Yeah.
What's your position on that?
What's my position on that? You know how there's
another one that seems people like.
You know how there's old school blood reds and new school blood reds.
Yep.
Old school blood red. I think when the Yellow Jacket gene met blood red, it gave you more of the orange blood red. And that's like how I see the whole corn snake population. If you really start looking at the base colorations of stuff, I want to bring back, the corn look, the old school look of a corn. It's like, a normal corn would come up and it would be a beautiful normal corn, and people would think that it's like Red Factor or
trying to put a name on it,
and it was just a normal corn. And it's like, has it been that long since you've seen a normal corn snake and what it looks like?
Yeah.
When just a normal corn looks spectacular, looks like it,
exactly.
It's like
it's so funny to talk to people that are newer in the hobby and be like, you know that people like line bred corns with no morphs and made some really badass animals. Have you seen those? Like,
yeah, right.
It's almost. I hate to say this, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way towards anybody, but it's almost like our Tiger Woods, which was ball pythons, and it made this hobby so much more popular than it had ever been, made everybody so obsessed with the folding in of morphs and the compounds of morphs that the more names you tag onto that snake, the better it is. instead of the people that spent 30, 40 years line breeding these animals to be the best versions of themselves, or even just finding the best localities and working with just that. And we kind of blew that out of the water. And again, you go back to other sub factions of this hobby: crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, leachianus, the Rhacodactylus family, leopard geckos, turtles, tortoises. They're so enamored with line breeding and getting those lines. Leonis, even in this, everybody's so enamored with getting these line bred animals perfect. Let's make the perfect example of this with just compounding. Let's find those genetics that also exist that aren't just recessive traits or codominant traits. And it's almost like we got lost in the sauce with corners sometimes.
Yeah, when I learned a lot. I learned about Yellow Jacket from Joe Pierce.
Yeah.
And that was right around 2019. And that's after that, I couldn't see things the same. Everything, it was just so different. It's like it's like taking off sunglasses or something. Cause
like that movie, They Live.
Yeah. Once I understood what Yellow Jacket is and what it does, I didn't see things the same after that. I had to do it differently, and I had to test myself. Like, am I thinking right?
Yeah.
I'm always, you got to test yourself, because and now that I've got, and I'm seeing the difference. My F1s have so much color. With no red enhancing genes, it's I'm blown away by it. I really am, just by simply avoiding Yellow Jacket and choosing those lines that don't have it.
Yeah.
And bringing those ones together. It's been a world of difference. Like it's crazy.
So we've never actually talked about it, and this is a great tangent. And I'm actually not that familiar with it. Could you go on? Could you tell us a little bit about what Red Jacket does, or I'm sorry, Yellow Jacket, and what some of the
best
idiosyncrasies of it may be?
I'll just use the blood red as an example. It turns red to orange.
Okay.
Basically, it like the blood red is the most is a good example, of what Yellow Jacket does. Everyone wants the old school blood reds because they have that rich, deep red coloration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you don't see that anymore is because of Yellow Jacket came into the picture, and it's so dominant. It's such a dominant gene that it's in everyone's collection. It is, and I had to eliminate just about my whole collection in order to get rid of it. And but also if you know how to see it, once you see it, it's over with. But you could also breed it out.
Okay.
I have hobby lines that have been had the Yellow Jacket kind of bred out.
Okay.
And you can see the difference in those animals and their hobby lines.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, just that one simple thing made just learning about that really was probably the biggest impact.
It doesn't muddle you're not muddling the contrast as much. You're not building that kind of yellow, which is something that I've kind of talked about. And I don't know if you've listened to some of the earlier episodes. I have some very yellow neck stripes that have kind of come out of my collection, and they're beautiful. They really are neat because it's like an annery stripe that has half the snake is gold, right? It's kind of cool. But I kind of started trying to figure out maybe this is buff, and then I kind of started looking at buff anneries. Like, no, that's not that. Maybe this is a het caramel. Proved out this year it's not het caramel. But then I kind of started thinking about it. I was like, this really sounds like Yellow Jacket because this is doing that thing where you're losing a little bit of the contrast, and then over time it starts to show up.
I'll tell you how I see it. With the coral, with Red Factor, you have, different lines, right?
Yeah.
JMG, Neon, they are different. Champagne,
Yeah.
and they are a little different, and I kind of see like Yellow Jacket, Buff, and there's another one. There's a third. You know, they're just yellow enhancing genes. You know,
Yeah.
and I see, and you know, it's like Joe Pierce kind of made this comparison. You know, in bearded dragons, you have bright red bearded dragons, and then you have bright yellow ones. You know, so there's yellow genes and red genes. You know, and that's how I see red factor and yellow jacket stuff. You know, to me, yellow jacket buff, and there's another one I can't think of, but I see them as the same gene, but you know, different lines. You know, they do the same stuff. You know, so that's how I compare. That's how I see it. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's
Yeah. If you want bright red, you have to stay away from yellow. You know.
Yeah.
But if you want yellow, you know, then that's what then you go for those genes. You know, caramel, buff, and whatever the other.
Golden is one of them.
Golden.
That's a little tougher one to find because it was proved recessive, but is also like kind of got lost in the sauce with caramel and kind of what originally happened with charcoal and anery. You know, we definitely have two different lines of anery. We know they're not compatible, but you could also compound them. And then if you get one that's compounded, which I think is called a granite, and I'm not maybe wrong with the compound name, it's really hard to delineate the two if you produce a clutch that is actually both.
Right.
So back on the locality single morph stuff. I kind of wanted to ask. Let's say we're working with some Glades County aneries, some Hendry County aneries, maybe some of the Jasper County stuff. Do you see a difference, whether it's breeding, feeding babies?
You mean with the wild caught stuff?
Yeah, not even the wild caught or derivative, short generation derivative of wild caught.
Well, the only difference I've seen is with the wild caught animals. You know, they're just a little bit more. They're just captive bred animals have that. The aggressive eaters,
domesticated. They're domesticated.
Yeah,
right? Like
they're not as they're not as aggressive as with their eating. They're but that's like the sign that but to me that's the sign that it's a wild caught animal. It prefers live.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So. For me, that just reinforced that it was a wild caught, and but that's really the only difference that I've seen. Everything else that I've got is captive bred.
So do you have some wild caught morph stuff?
The Glades County stuff is wild caught.
That's badass.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
It's one of my favorites, and those aneries are so they're awesome. I love them.
That's what I messaged you about. I want a pair of those Glades Counties.
Yeah,
they're
and I'm
so damn cool.
I'm building on the group. I'll be getting some more animals for outcrossing, and I'm definitely, that's, I don't consider myself a locality. I'm a purist.
Yeah.
I know other people that I think are more of a locality type people. I'm a locality morph. But where was I going with that? But I'm building on the Glades County. But that's one of my locality projects.
I really like those Glades County aneries, and I also like a little bit of variability in them. Right, like not every single baby looks the exact same. Not every single adult looks the exact same.
There's a ton of variability in it. Anachronistic. Yeah.
Those are that's what I messaged you about. I really like
yeah.
And it's cool to have. I think it's really cool to have a locality.
And honestly, I thought I'd be giving those things away, but people have been really people were really into those, and I got a lot of inquiries about those, which I was kind of blown away by, because I literally thought I'd be just giving them away. I wasn't too sure how much appreciation there was for them.
I think tides are changing a little bit in the hobby as a general. I've been surprised at the stuff that people are interested that I'm producing. I've got some kind of oddball Pituophis that people really like, but there's locality stuff. Some of the locality Cow Kings that I have, and it's I think the tides are changing on that, right? For years, certain things, those compounded genes, again, backing off that ball python rise,
Mhm.
that's what was selling. And now I'm starting to see that people are really, really interested in stuff with lineage, stuff that is locality, stuff that's unique within a unique hobby, right?
Yeah, it's always changing.
Yeah, and it is always going to change. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. You could sell every Glades County anner you produce for a decent chunk of change. Not that money's a factor in it, but to some extent it is. We got to feed these things, and that in a couple of years that may just not be it, right?
Mhm.
That
Right.
may, and everything ebbs and flows, and that's why what you're doing is unique in the fact that you don't care,
I
right?
don't.
You're
Yeah.
you're working with the stuff you want to work with either way.
Yeah.
People can join you or ignore you, and you're not going to make a difference in your choices.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to being kind of like the outsider, you know. I'm used to that, and I'm
Yeah,
kind of used to having to kind of like talk things up, or
yeah,
like kind of be a salesman a little bit, So, you know, I don't mind uh, being, trying to be an innovator, or I feel like I'm more of a I'm definitely not a follower.
yeah, which is
Definitely not.
good. Which
Yeah.
which is what we need more of, actually. The more
Oh, I
the more the
appreciate
more
that.
people we have doing unique things, the more diversity we're going to
Yeah.
generate in a hobby, and
And
that's what it needs.
yeah, and it's been really great. And now people are catching on, and there's some stuff out there that I don't, that other people have that, might be surfacing, you know. So that's cool to see. It kind of feels like I influenced that a little bit, you know, you know. So hopefully we'll see some other stuff too
Yeah,
come
I
to
think but I also think
surface.
it's awesome when you do that kind of stuff, because the people that, like, maybe it's going to be a smaller demographic that are interested in that kind of stuff, like the locality morph stuff in particular, but it's like the people that are seeking that, like, they're sort of true appreciators, and they also, like, they get it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, and those are the kind of people I want to, be around or be
Yeah.
associated with.
Or sell your snakes to, which is also
Exactly.
another thing.
Yeah.
That which I'm going to bring up something that wasn't really on our outline, but
Yeah.
you produce 10, 14, 15 clutches. How are you selling them? Are you
I'm a
kind of
big wholesaler guy,
yeah?
and I'm my best customer,
Yeah.
and I got some really good. I do a lot of wholesaling.
Okay.
I do some retail, here and there.
You do a lot of shows?
I don't do any shows. I stay home to keep my collection clean. If that,
That's a
if,
thing. That's a
yeah,
thing, man.
it's something I've been wanting to get out and do more, is shows. But I'm so specialized. I know how that can kind of work against me at a show.
Yeah.
But I kind of miss. I'm a face to face. The whole I say I'm always stuck in the 90s. I miss the real human interaction, and I'm a call me on the phone type guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you still get some of that with people like messaging you on Facebook. Like, they see what you're working with, and they reach out and say, like me,
Yeah.
tell me more. Can I get that? Can I be a part of that?
Yeah, once you start wanting to ask ask a lot of questions, I'll be like, just call me, and I'll tell you anything. I'm very forthcoming. I don't keep trade secrets, like a lot of people do. I feel like information should be shared as much as possible.
I completely agree with that. I think that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do the whole trade secret thing. This is just a hobby for me.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I like to express that I enjoy it. I like to share what I'm doing.
I mean, at
Uh,
this point, are there really any trade secrets anymore, anyways? Like, is there really anything with breeding snakes that someone else hasn't already figured out?
People think that there is, well, I'm keeping this secret,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
I
buddy.
still see it, and it's
There
like,
there
oh,
will be
it's okay.
more morphs. There will be more localities. There will be more oddities. I think maybe some of us have seen some of those oddities posted on Facebook recently. There will be things that will be beneficial to the hobby, and there will be things that are deleterious to the hobby.
Mhm.
By keeping something a secret, you're only inhibiting others, right? We're only holding others back, and
Mhm.
that doesn't grow the hobby.
Yeah,
That
I,
there's cloak and shadows.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm definitely not afraid of competition. There's room for everybody. I could always find my own original ideas. I'm not,
yeah.
so I'm not,
I mean, if there's
that's just,
anything we've learned from the ball python side of things, it's that the term saturated market clearly isn't a thing, because if it's that saturated, then people would not be breeding them in the numbers.
There wouldn't be a market. Yeah. The what's the right way to put it? You can only grow a market. You can't oversaturate it. Maybe that's not completely true, right? Maybe that's not completely true. Joe, even saying that you're able to wholesale snakes. The fact that you're even able to wholesale snakes means that there's some kind of a drive for people to buy those snakes regardless, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, they're going somewhere.
They're going somewhere. These people are not buying these snakes and putting them into coral snakes. That's my big running joke.
Yeah.
That we use them as feeders for coral snakes and gutata or gatula. It's they're going somewhere. They're going to the hands of hobbyists. They're going to the hands of people that care about it. They're going to the hands of kids. They're
Yeah.
going to the hands of adults.
Yeah, I know. I got a couple of friends that think I'm crazy, think I'm too generous, think I should be asking more money for stuff. But my sanity is important.
Yeah.
You know?
I've gotten called. I've been 2 shows a year, and I sell my geckos or my snakes for the price that I think I would pay for those animals.
Right. Yeah.
And I've had people come up to me and be like, you're really killing my table because your prices are half my price, right? And it's like, well, I'll give you 2 options. I'll knock a little bit off of my price and sell you everything I got, and you can sell it at the next show. I only vend 2, or you can lower your prices and make some sales today. If people are coming to my table, it's not because the animals I have; it's because the attitude I have. I'm going to talk to these people. I'm going to sell my animals to them. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a salesman by trade, but I'm gonna hype up my own shit because that's why I'm here today, right? Like I am here today to make connections, to meet people, to shake babies, to kiss hands, and to specifically sell reptiles, right? And it's
there's lots of roads. There's and the more you're familiar with, to me, it's just a part of it.
Yeah.
Well, my response would also be like, it's not my fault you decided to make this your full-time gig.
Though I support people that do make it their full-time gig, and
Sure.
and I will hold those people that are doing it ethically and cleanly and without cloak and daggers, without lying and without secrets. People like Westmoreland, full-time snake breeder. Make sure everything's feeding, make sure everything's clean, make sure everything's known genetics down to the pos het at 25%. The guy does it, and he's going to succeed because he's got the drive, he's got the work ethic, he's got all of that. You can do this the right way, or you can do this the lazy way. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a full-time snake breeder. I am not even. None of this puts the roof over my head. But I'm going to do it as cleanly and ethically and how I find it fit. And Joe, it kind of sounds like that's the same case for you. Like it's.
Yeah, I feel so much better doing it how I'm doing it now. You know,
Yeah.
however that sounds, I truly feel so much better about it. I really do.
I think you should get out and vend a show though if you like dealing with person on person.
Yeah, I know I should, but things move pretty fast for me.
Yeah.
Things don't stick around here that long enough.
Yeah. It's not a bad problem.
And I'm only producing maybe just a little over 100 babies, and that don't last long.
That's
I would like to get those numbers up. I really would, but I kind of like a small collection. I know if I had more, to maybe even 300, that it probably would be better for me.
This year was my first year to produce as many babies as I did, and it was kind of my own fault. I didn't really plan on that. I didn't think everything was going to go. Somewhere between 100 snakes and 200 snakes, it compounds, and it doesn't compound double. It compounds like quadruple, and I don't know why, but there's something in between. I've produced on average 100 to 130 animals, right, between geckos and snakes. This year, I think it's going to be like 250 between geckos and snakes, and it's like, why is this so much harder at this number than it was?
There is like a tipping point.
Yeah, there's like this weird tipping point that it just
there's
over.
There's a sweet spot, know, and I try to keep in that,
Well, you're doing all those things right. I'm gonna derail this a little bit from this current conversation. I want to know, because I think you do something differently from some of the pictures I've seen. How do you keep corn snakes? What is your keeping mythos? And do you do anything a little bit differently?
No, well, I could tell you. Well, one thing, my house is so dry.
Yeah,
the humidity is so low for whatever reason. So I've got to use a substrate that I can spray. Or raise the humidity. So that's about the only thing. Otherwise, it's just basic Coolibrid care, setup.
What substrate are you using? Because that was kind of the question I was wondering. It
I
looked
found
like
this.
You were using.
I found this pine that I really like.
Okay.
So I'm going for pine, but I mess around with like peat moss. I was messing around. I'm constantly messing around with stuff to find something out. For me, it's very hard to find a substrate that I like that works. It's got to be, because the humidity is so low.
Yeah.
And so I need to, because it's so bad. The snakes have shedding problems, and it's like I've never had this problem ever in my life. So that's a challenge. Is the dryness of my house. And
because I'd seen some pictures and it looked like you had some like you said, peat moss, and some leaves and leaf litter and stuff.
And also, with my females, I let them lay right in their. I don't use nest boxes. I'll let them just lay right in their enclosure.
Okay.
I'm changing that. I used to just basically take the females out and put them in another container with moss. I don't give them the option to come in or out.
Right.
I'll take the snake physically out of their enclosure and put them into another box that's basically a nest box without a door. It's enclosed, and I just put them up on the top shelf, and that seems to be working the best. That's something I started, something I merged away from. Now I'm going back to that.
Do you struggle with any humidity with your eggs?
Yeah. I'm always got the Mr. Water bottle. I cover my eggs with sphagnum moss, so I can spray it.
Yeah.
So yeah, humidity is always.
You have the exact opposite of me. I just checked my weather app right now. It is 77% humidity outside right now.
It's pretty rare that I have shed issues down here because it's just ridiculous.
Well, outside my house is probably 100 humidity, like on a day today, because it's been storming and stuff.
Oh, you're so lucky. We haven't had rain, and this week was 7 weeks no rain.
Yeah, and low humidity in this house is something I really don't understand. It is what it is, and I got to deal with it.
Yeah,
poltergeists.
Yeah,
it's something interesting, especially for the listeners to understand. As you listen to this, whether you're in this country or other countries, everybody has different parameters in their house. We keep these animals in a micro habitat, right? Yeah. We ourselves are derivative of the habitat we're around. Do you find you have dry skin? Do you find you have crusty boogies? Do you got to lotion more often? You gotta, your hair. As somebody who knows about hair, do you find that your hair becomes dry quickly, or you have to use different kinds of conditioner, or you have to moisturize your skin in different ways? Also think about that with your animals. I have to go out of my way to try to make my animals drier, right? I could never use any kind of a soil or a soil derivative as a bedding for my animals because I'd get mold. Now, that's certain species are different, but with like my snakes and tubs, I could never do that. Whereas you are talking about having to spray your corn snakes to keep them humid enough to have consistent sheds. And that was one of the things, some of the pictures I had gone through on your Facebook. And if anybody is listening to this, wants to go see Joe Peck on Facebook, go look through his pictures. You've got some badass stuff, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You've got great pictures of your room, great pictures of your animals. I love the notes you put on your pictures.
I appreciate that because I sometimes I feel like a real idiot. Like the whole internet thing is so unnatural for me. It's still unnatural for me.
I'm about to be 40. So for me, it's still like I didn't grow up with the internet, so I'm a little newer. My Facebook's only 4 or 5 years old, so I'm still kind of like,
I've never really had to rely on the internet. It's always been networking. I don't ever remember back in the day. I never needed it. I never needed it. And up until. It wasn't up until I got into corns.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to put myself out there. And where do you go? You go where everyone else is. Well,
for years, it was the forums, right? For me, it was kingsnake.com or, the corn snake forums, the leopard gecko forums. I remember back in the day, we had the leopard gecko forums because I was breeding crested geckos and gargoyle geckos. I had a huge Phelsuma collection. And it was like,
I love those. I love
Phelsuma are my swan song.
You're talking about day geckos, right?
Yeah.
I love gold dusts are one of my favorite animals ever.
I bred gold dust day geckos in 1998.
Yeah. When they were still wild caught, right?
Yeah, I was 13 years old, and they were wild caught, and they were wild caught from Madagascar.
Yeah, right. Not Hawaii.
Yeah, or Hawaii or Florida.
Yeah. I love day geckos. Yeah, I remember Sean McNown's book.
Yeah, I have it. That's the book. That was my first reptile.
I love that book.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I still have it. I still have my original copy.
He was one of my favorite authors, Sean McNown, or however you say his name.
Illustrations in the book showing what his enclosures look like and what the gecko, the calcium sacs and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
I miss that stuff. The internet just isn't the same as that stuff.
It's too fast paced. People don't have time for that anymore.
Right.
And it sucks. It's like, pick up a goddamn book. Justin's a huge reptile book fan and reads a lot. I do too.
Me too. I love books.
Even my I don't watch a lot of TV. I read books. I love.
Yeah. This issue,
Reptiles magazine.
Yeah. This has got great history. This issue, it's got a lot of history. It's from '96. This is one of my favorite. Issue, this is my go-to, one of my go-tos right here.
Yeah.
That has a lot of the history of the morphs and stuff.
Probably 2001, 2000. I had a subscription to Reptiles from about 1996 to probably man, probably like 5 or 6 years ago when it kind of started just. I'm not saying anything bad about Reptiles magazine. I know it's still in print.
Got very repetitive.
It was just became such a repetitive ad for suppliers, which I understand.
It's
right?
been
Like,
so long since I picked one up, you know.
yeah, it kind of maybe even 10 years ago, but somewhere in the early 2000s, they had one with a Latticalicynta with a gold dust egg gecko right on the front. Oh my God, I still have
I
that.
remember
book.
that one.
I love that. I love
One of the
those.
best pictures ever taken, put on the cover of a magazine, and
It all started to go downhill when they got rid of the venomous issue.
Yeah, there was a venomous issue every year, or it was every 6 months or every year.
Every year.
Once a year,
they had the venomous issue, and as soon as they got rid of that, that was the beginning of the end.
Justin, it would have been that same timeline, 2001, 2002, 2003, with the Gila monster on the front, with the Heloderma on it. The venomous issue had that gorgeous pink background with the Gila monster on it. Oh, my heart just. You know what? This is tough, and I say this a lot, and I've talked about this in other podcasts. A lot of this information, all of these things that we love, exists, right? This stuff still exists. I wish Reptiles magazine would take all of its back issues and put them in digital print where we could all go back and look at them on our tablets and our computers and stuff. But all of this information that people before us exists. They didn't throw it away. It exists in forums. It exists in digital formats. It exists in print. You can go back and find old issues of Reptiles magazine. Do that. It's damn near close to free, right? Like this stuff exists.
Can you excuse me 1 sec?
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Absolutely, Joe. Justin?
Remember when we did a magazine?
Oh man, beautiful magazine. It was great. Never wrote an article because writing and me are not a thing. But it was widely. I mean, I loved it. Read every episode.
Sometimes I miss it.
I could not imagine the amount of work that you and Billy put into that.
I couldn't do it now, but like when I was at the cigar shop and I had time to like sit there for 10 hours a day and actually like work on stuff and whatnot, it worked. But now, because there have been times where I'm like, I need to bring it back.
It's really hard.
I'm like, God, don't do it.
To do that much work for something that's free, right? Like that, and people don't understand that. You got a lot of listeners. You got a lot of people that listen to this podcast. I don't think people understand the amount of effort that you went through to do something that was free, right? It's Joe. We were just talking about Justin actually published a magazine for a while. It was a digital magazine, but Herpetoculture magazine. And I was talking about, two things. One, he did all of that for free. Anybody can go and look at every single episode. It costs nothing. Two, it's exceptional, and everybody can still go back and look at all those episodes. Issues, these things still exist. They didn't fade away. Facebook is not your only answer. Instagram is not the only way you can get pictures, right? People put a lot of effort, but put a little heart into all this stuff. I know that our time is getting close, but I do have a few more questions. Joe, I
got at least one story for you too.
Why don't you tell us a story? I'd love to hear a story.
I want to tell the story about the Sunkist Mills line.
Okay.
Because it was interesting, I got that animal 2020, when COVID hit, the reptile shows, you couldn't do reptile shows. So that's when that line surfaced on King Snake, because the guy who had that was just doing local shows, and he had it on King Snake advertised as Okati Sunkist, and it's like, when I see that, I'm like, yeah, whatever, But when I clicked on it and saw the pictures, I was like, oh,
wait a second.
Yeah, wait a second. And at that time I had some Joe Pierce landrace Sunkist, and they looked very similar. And I only had 2 females. He had 3 animals listed, and there was a male, which is the male I bought. And it was it stood out, So I sent them a message. I'm like, so I asked him, is that Joe Pierce's line? And he's like, no, these are pure Okatee Sunkist. And when he told me that, I took the conversation to the phone. When I want to know about lineage, I want to be able to ask you questions and hear because I feel like anyone with integrity will be happy to answer any question that I throw at them.
Absolutely.
So he was perfectly fine with getting on the phone with me, and the story of the animal was that it was a pure Hunt Club Sunkist. It was, and all he knew at the time was that he got it from a guy named Tony, and one of the parents was captive bred, and one of the other parents was wild caught. Okay. So, and that's all he knew, which kind of leaves you to wonder, well, what was that bloodline from? What was that captive bred bloodline?
Yeah.
He's telling me it's a pure Okatee animal, but that's all he could. That's all the information he had at the time. But I was confident enough, that it was at least a Jasper County animal because they just have. I could just tell. It had. I don't know how to explain that, but it did not look generic.
Yeah.
So I bought it. It was like, so I bought it. I sat on it, and I really didn't know what to do with it, because it was still questionable, as far as like the whole story. If this goes, and that was back, I think probably 2019, I think, or maybe, or 2020 in that area somewhere. Because I think
where was he located?
South Carolina. His name is Mike Bass. And he's in South Carolina. So that's all I got from him. I got the animal, and so this. Let me think about this. I have a friend. He was showing me these Spring Island locality corns. Wait. Yeah.
Was it Daryl?
Yeah.
Daryl?
I was about to say Justin lives in South Carolina.
So Daryl was showing me Spring Island corns.
Yes. Wait, did you say Mills line?
Yeah, Tony Mills.
Tony's a really good friend of mine.
You know Tony too?
I do. I worked for him at one point.
Yeah, you guys. I'm here in Illinois.
Yeah.
So where am I?
Daryl.
So Daryl sends me pictures of those Spring Island corns, and his buddy's name's Tony. Yeah. So I knew I was going to be on. When he started asking me on the podcast, I wanted to do. I called Mike Bass up because and I just was like, can you tell me any more about this guy, Tony? Can you just think real hard? So finally he gave me a name, Tony Mills, and he has a YouTube channel.
Coastal Kingdom.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought that was gonna be a dead end.
Nope.
And and Tony Mills was out there. He was easy to find. So when I was watching the Coastal Kingdom, guess what I saw? Spring Island Conservatory or wherever. I'm like, Spring Island. His name's Tony.
Yep.
So I'm like, I called Daryl. I'm like, is your friend Tony's last name Mills? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, holy cow! I've been trying to track this guy since 2019. So I told Daryl the story. I'm like, look, I got this animal that supposedly came from Tony Mills.
See, I didn't even know Tony did anything with Sunkist.
No, because I don't think I think he sold. I think one was on display in Spring Island, And I don't know, the guy I got him from bought a pair, like back to when the captive bred and the wild caught animal were bred together. 8 Sunkiss were born.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So Mike Bass bought a pair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the parents of my animal are the pair. So mine's an F2, right? So yeah, back. So I had Daryl because Daryl's friends with Tony,
Yep.
and so I had Daryl. So I told Daryl, I'm like, look, I've got this snake. It's supposedly from Tony Mills. I really need to know
That's hilarious.
the whole story, you know. And that's when it was confirmed that it was a complete independent. You know, he collected his own. You know, I
Yep.
think he had a friend that he was, you know. But anyways, he confirmed the whole thing, and he confirmed that it was a pure Hunkity Hub Club Sunkist,
That's
and
awesome.
that was just this year. And
Yeah.
I really didn't know what to do with the animal because I was, you know, questionable, you know. But now, so I found out, you know, I was so happy. You know, it was normally you're always let down.
Right.
You know, this was the
Yeah.
one time when things ended up better than I expected. You know, and so I had some F1s Hunt Club corns here, and I'm like, all right, now I know what to do. So I'll cross that F2 to an F1. I'm going to keep that line just pure, you know. And Daryl, he knows that area
Mm-hmm.
where Tony was getting his Okitis from, and he's going to send me one next year to make more outcrossed hats. So
Yeah, legitimately, my very first job ever was working for Tony at the Nature Center on Spring Island.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're familiar with those beautiful corns on Spring Island?
Dude, that whole island is gorgeous.
It's crazy.
It's awesome. They keep so much of it natural. You know, there's not a ton of people living on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's great. It used to be a big hunting like plantation, like the guy that owned it originally. It used to be a spot for people to go hunt. You know, I think dove hunting was big there, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's awesome. I haven't been out there in a handful of years, but yeah, Tony, you know, I can vouch 100% that whatever he tells you is true.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you see his videos, you know he's legit, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so yeah, that made my year. You know.
Where's Mike Bass in South Carolina? Do you know?
I don't know specifically, but you know, he's in that area, probably not too far from you. If you know, but you know, he was just doing local shows. He calls himself Okie Dokie Corns or something like that, or you know.
That sounds familiar.
But yeah. You know, like I say, he just happened to surface when COVID hit, you know, because he couldn't get out and do shows, you know, and I probably was the only person that ever asked him about the lineage of that animal, you know, because I know he have sold several, you know. I know I'm not the only one who has them, you know.
Is he on Facebook or no?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sure Daryl knows him too. Then, if that's the case, I'll have to ask him where he's at.
Who Mike Bass, where he's at, or Mike Bass is at? I could find out for you. You know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, I'll find that out for you if you want. But he's a pretty cool dude, you know. And then back to like getting someone on the phone. You know, I know. You know, just by talking to him, I knew how genuine he was. You know, he wasn't trying to pull a fast one on me. He had no reason to pull a fast one on me. You know, and that's what you get out of actually talk to somebody. You know.
Small world.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing, man. It like took my world and just went, you know. I was like, holy cow, you know, this guy's been under my nose the whole time.
Yep.
I had pictures in my phone from the guy I was looking for.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, holy cow, man. And that just made it such an incredible, you know, it was so incredible how it turned out.
So, Joe, if we were looking at your collection and we were asking what the future of that collection is going to be, what would you say?
The future, right now,
Castagna.
I still have a lot of work to do, combining the land race stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of, you know, that's going to be like my my breeding group of all these F1s, you know, that's what's going to be, those are my breeders, you know, that's going to be, you know, and I've got maybe 4 or 5 more pairings. And then once I get those pairings done, you know, what I've got now, you know, like all that, you know, I built this when everything was still really young.
Yeah.
So eventually, you know, and what I'm trying to do is just get that group together, raise it up, and then, you know, make everything, you know, build caging for all those F1s, you know,
Yeah.
Make the things in your collection.
that's going to be the
you've been
core.
planning.
That's going to be the core, you know, of what I produce, you know, is all that.
Awesome. Well, Joe, we ask everybody a question, a couple of questions, and we got to know, you know, there's a couple of morphs out there that are sometimes controversial, and there's a couple reasons why, and we're wondering what your thoughts are on 2 specific morphs, one being palmetto and the other being scaleless.
Palmetto, I love palmetto. I have a female. It's I think they're beautiful, but what's the controversy around it?
I think the controversy.
It exists.
What's that?
It exists.
It exists. Yeah.
There's always, and you know, we go through different thoughts through every person that comes on. Palmetto, there's some deleterious genetics in there. The bug eye, the eyelid, very weak offspring, especially when you start compound to get into a lot of other things.
You know, I haven't really worked with palmetto much. You know, I have produced. You know, I've had some hets, and but you know, it's weird that you say that because I have felt they breed like they're severely inbred.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought the issue was.
Yeah.
You know, so I put them in the hands of my friend who had a pair of palmettos because I wasn't going to invest in, you know, I wasn't going to invest anymore into that project. You know, I just wasn't interested. So it was just easier for me to put whatever I had into a friend's hands because he had a pair he'd gotten from someone else. And to me, that's some genetic diversity, you know, so it was just, so I just handed them over. I bought a palmetto. It was supposed to be, and this is how I met Daryl. I bought a palmetto. It was supposed to be a locality animal. And, you know, if I would have known the county of where palmetto came, you know, I actually know, my friend knows the guy who caught the palmetto pretty good. I got another friend down there, and he knows, you know, the guy who got that. So he knows it's legit. But anyways.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah. Because I've heard it called a hybrid so many times.
No way.
You know.
Out of anything in corn snakes, it's a hybrid. It ain't palmetto.
Yeah.
That is a damn corn snake.
Yeah, you know,
South Carolina's best contribution to society next to blowfish.
I wish they would have kept it as, you know, kept it pure. You know, they had a chance. to keep a, you know. But anyways, I bought a female palmetto. It was supposed to be a locality, but it was just a misunderstanding. But it's a good palmetto in a way that it's from Craig Tremtower, and he had gotten one of the very first ones produced from Don, and then he outcrossed it, into a normal corn, and I think that's good. I love that, so that's why I'm hanging on to it. I'll not too sure what I'm going to do with it, but I like it because I feel like it hasn't been run through all the genes. It's about as ground level as it gets as far as like a hobby line.
Yeah.
And
there, I know there are people that have locality palmetto stuff that have taken it back to the original county that the palmetto was found in. That it's kind of worked with that.
That's probably what I've got. I've got that, and it's not a locality. I talked to Don, and Don's words are that original animal never left his warehouse. It's impossible for that. But it, so what I got was an outcross. First,
okay.
One of the very first palmetto
that he produced. Okay.
That Don produced, that Craig got, and Craig outcrossed it into. I don't know if it was from the same county or from the general area, but that's how the misunderstanding started.
I think if anybody has done good work with outcrossing, it'd be people like Craig Trombauer, Tony D, Howie Sherman, kind of the godfathers of
the Holy Trinity.
Yeah,
Holy Trinity. Have you ever been to Daytona Reptile Show?
No.
You should go. You get to meet those guys. They all share a table.
I really want. I wanted to go this year. I really do want to go someday.
It's in about
it's
3
a
or
good
4
corn
weeks.
show.
We'll be there.
Corn show.
I barely go to Tinley, and then that's in my own backyard.
We kind of say it to everybody. You should go to Daytona. It's a colubrid show, and above all else, it is a corn snake show.
Is it?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh my God. Yes.
You don't touch shit. Yeah.
You've got you've got Greg Abbott, Howie Sherman, Craig Trombauer,
Lee
Tony
Abbott?
D.
Lee Abbott.
Yeah, Lee Abbott. I'm sorry, Lee Abbott.
Who's Greg?
You've got sorry. I work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you have like the powerhouses of corn snake breeding under one roof, and it's there's
not
more
even
corn
that.
snakes.
You also got like Jordan Parrott.
Yeah, Jordan Parrott.
Like
I got snakes from last year.
Always killer. He's always got awesome stuff there.
Really?
And there. Travis Whistler. Weiser. Sorry. You've got. I mean, you're talking about like the biggest corn snake guys in the world, as far as I know.
If I go to Daytona, I'm going to hang out with Tom Stevens.
He's there too, yeah. I got to hang out with him.
I'm gonna go party with him.
He's fun, man. He's real fun.
Yeah.
John Lasseter, who's a very close friend of mine here locally. Him and Tom are good friends, and he introduced me, and we got to bullshit.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Is he going this year?
I don't. You know what? I don't know.
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
One of the if Tom Stevens will be there. Lassiter, I don't know if he's going. I don't know what his work schedule looks like. He's been doing a lot of turnarounds, but he goes almost every year. It's Daytona's so much fun, and then you can hang out with us. We have a little pavilion we hang out.
I'd love to hang out with you guys. That would be awesome.
We crush beers. So I got to ask, what about Scaleless? Where do you stand on Scaleless?
I was at Eric's house holding them. I think they feel cool. I think they're pretty, and I appreciate what people do with them. It's just not my, it's not my thing. Even if it was pure out of the wild, I'd be like, pass.
I resonate a lot with what you're saying. I have a lot of wild caught stuff. I have a lot of F1 stuff. I have line bred locality stuff, but I also dip into these like crazy, 5 gene morph stuff that I'm producing, and it's nice to live in both worlds.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I don't know if I can.
The variety is the spice of life,
Absolutely, and while I'm able to do it, I'm going to continuously bifurcate my brain, right, and let it do both things. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know if it's supposed to last a certain amount of time.
Right.
But I'm enjoying it, and,
Mhm.
and I love seeing the intensity and dedication you have to what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
It's unique. It is definitely unique amongst corn keepers across the board, worldwide, right? Like we talk to people across the planet. I recently talked to a guy in China working with corns, and we talked to people in Europe working with corns, and it's amazing to see. And really to refine it down, there's very few people. Maybe Chris Montross is the name that will cross our boards. It's working with specifically locality stuff.
Yeah.
Very few people that are that dedicated to just one style of thing, right?
I wish Joe Pierce would come to Facebook, because I think he has so much to offer. That guy, I've learned so much from him. And
he can come on here. He doesn't have to have Facebook.
He doesn't have Facebook to jump on.
He don't even have a telephone, or I try. Yeah, he's hard to communicate with, but he's my.
So was Luke Skywalker, but they somehow managed to find the option get him to come back.
Yeah, he's in the woods somewhere.
we got Tony D on here. We got you on here.
Right.
Sometimes there's I kind of fall in the middle in that generation, being close to 40. Sometimes the latter part of the generational gap is a little bit more difficult to get in the.
We try to make it as easy as possible, though.
Try to make it as easy as possible.
I'm having a blast. I'm broken in. You broke me in. So I really appreciate it. It's been a great time.
Joe, we're so happy that you came on. Like I said,
me too. I got to tell you, I really stepped out of my box, to come here, but I knew it was something that I should do. Because I feel like I do have something to say. You
do, and you have quality things to say.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. And
there's a general consensus. Excuse me. That an unbiased opinion is what everybody's looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what Justin's looking for, and I don't think that's what the hobby's looking for. We're looking for a biased opinion. I want to know. We want to hear what the people that are secular in their thoughts are doing, and I think you've pontificated that well.
I appreciate it. I really do.
And we're probably going to have you back on, because I want to know more about lava, and I want to know more about the history of lava.
I'll be here anytime you want.
Are you going to be producing any lavas this year?
Non-locality ones.
Okay. I would love some locality lavas.
But they're what's that?
I'd love some locality lavas. That's pretty cool.
Okay, well, eventually.
Yeah, I know. There's not many people have.
No, I had to be patient to get them. That's another thing. I had to be. They weren't easy to get. No. Joe Pierce just.
They do not exist outside of Joe Pierce.
I don't know,
for the most part.
Yeah, and I don't know why he he's for some reason he's been great to me. I just talked to him yesterday, and like I said, he's my guy. So
he's a name that you see a lot of if you're in corns long enough. Yeah. And I don't know a whole lot about the guy. I know that he's done a lot.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where that's like that's why we try to get those folks on here, so that people that are coming into it, when they see these names, they kind of can understand and correlate something to those.
Yeah, names. He really he's really responsible for putting me on the road that I am on now. He really started it with his land race lines.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took the ball and ran with it from there, and I feel like these things were starting to find me, like the Motley and as soon as something surfaced, I jumped on it right away. I didn't give anyone else a chance.
Yeah.
And if there was an extra animal, I bought it and sent it to Joe, so he's got it, because he's got the same passion. We do things a little differently. Which is great, which is fine. But we're both into the whole going back to the 80s style, because he mentioned that just recently. We both feel like we're doing it the way it should have been done 35 years ago. And so it's cool to have someone to share that passion, that passion with,
Absolutely.
Well, Joe, if somebody wanted to be able to reach out to you, talk to you a little bit more about the snakes you're producing, maybe even get something from you, what's the best way to do that?
Probably just Messenger,
Facebook?
Facebook Messenger. Yeah. One day, I'd love to have when my colony is built, I'll probably will put together a website, because, those animals will be here to stay forever. Those F1s, I'm going to sit those will go to the grave with me.
Also, if you want to dabble into Instagram, which is a interesting
Instagram,
app,
yeah,
I think you got enough pictures to load you up for a couple of years.
Sometimes Facebook is enough. So I'm
I
reluctant.
don't know, man. Instagram's I like Instagram a lot more than Facebook because
I stay off Facebook.
There's a lot less bullshit.
I like to hear that. That'll get me there. Hearing stuff like that.
Like you just want to see snakes. You just see snakes. You just want to see spiders.
And that's all. Yeah, I don't like to put my personal life on Facebook. It's nothing but snake pictures. And
the cool thing about Instagram, and I'm not to derail this too much, I could post I don't post anything on Facebook other than stuff for my family members, that a picture of my kid or whatever. On Instagram, I could post pictures of reptiles and meet people that are into reptiles, and then I shut it off, and I don't have to hear political views or what the new movie is or give a shit about the most recent new thing. It's just I posted a picture, and you can message me if you want.
We're done here.
Yeah. I think for me, at least, it's very important to have the right people on your friends list.
Absolutely.
Because
I've blocked so many family members.
I'm there for one reason, and there's a lot of people that keep to that, and those are the people I like to, those people make Facebook fun,
No.
And I love those people, like Tom Stevens. He's one of my favorite Facebook friends. I love that.
Have you ever met him?
No, I haven't.
He's a wild card, dude. He's hilarious. He's
great. I think we'll get along just fine.
He's a fun guy. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, I totally want to party with that guy.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you so much for coming on. Justin, if somebody wants to meet you, what's the best way to do it?
Palmetto Coast Exotics, Facebook, Instagram. I'm kind of weird about adding people on Facebook. I don't know why. So, unlike as far as my personal page, I don't really post a whole lot of personal stuff anyways. It's usually just like stupid memes and stuff that I find hilarious. But Fulvius Apparel, Herpeticulture Network, any of those accounts, whatever, I'm not hard to get a hold of. So,
and I'm Badlands Herpeticulture on Instagram and Chris Paint Shop on Facebook, and I have a morph market now. So if anybody is interested in the clutches I've been talking about for 2 years that I'm making, I'm just going to start posting available animals because everybody asked, Chris, what's available? I'm sending them the morph market link now because I'm not selling anything. I made myself a promise this year. I'm not selling anything that's out of the egg. Everything's going to be feeding, clean, clear, multiple poops, multiple feedings. I'm going to do it a little different this year than not that I have ever sold animals that didn't, right? Not that that's a thing, but I've got people that are like, I don't care, I'll take it. I just want that. And so this year I'm gonna do that. If anybody's interested, I'm gonna try to focus on what I'm getting rid of and focus on what I'm keeping. And this year I'm not gonna hold back 25 snakes. Probably maybe
sending all the Leonas to me, right?
I'm gonna send you some. I'm gonna get you some Leonas. Yeah.
I like those real white ones.
Yeah, me too. I had 4 clutches this year. I had 4. So I breeding Leonas, it's tough.
Is it?
It's not easy. It's not. You got to cool them real cold. You got to make them real. You got to get them down.
Are they a high elevation type animal?
Very high elevation.
Yeah.
Mid
mountain
Mexico.
king snake, basically. That.
Kind of like an Alterna.
Yeah.
And I had 3 clutches that were slugs this year. Just was
interesting. I hear that, and I want to. I want to take that on.
Leonas are a good challenge. It's a lot about feeding before going into brumation because you brumate them for like 4 months and keep them real cold.
Mm-hmm.
Alternative, I also got 3 good clutches of Alterna, which are much harder to do than Leonis. So it's just montane species are different. They're difficult. It took me 3 years of trying to breed Pituophis vertebralis to get a good clutch. So
Yeah.
some of these species are just a little bit tougher, and kind of love learning that and going through that.
Yeah, it's an experience, for sure.
I know a lot of the Thamnophis are like that, especially some of the more northern species are a lot more difficult than people think. But maybe we'll do a Thamnophis and lava episode, and we'll get you back on, Joe.
All right, I'm looking forward to coming back on again.
Absolutely.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
This
Thank you.
episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram, BlackBoxCages.com. Use the code THN at checkout. Save yourself a little bit of money. Then head on over to Silent Hill Reptiles on Facebook, Instagram, and SilentHillReptiles.com. See what JT has for sale. Updates, I'm sure, to come on his for sale page. And then Fulvius Apparel. Check it out, FulviusApparel.com on Facebook and Instagram. Use the code THN for THN listeners only. Save 15% off when you use the code THN at checkout. Thank you all. We'll be back Monday for Snakes and Stogies.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.